Good evening. Good evening. How are you doing? Welcome to Tripping with the Birds. My name is Vanessa, and I'm here with Trina, Bird, and we have a guest, Geneva Finger Snaps. How are you doing, Trina?
I'm fine. How are you? Rick is on. He's trying to get in, so he'll be here very
Okay,
soon.
okay, okay,
He's backstage. He's waiting for Lynn DJ Straight to let him in.
okay.
So how are
How are you?
you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm doing very well. So I see we have Geneva Finger Snaps on. How are you doing, Miss Geneva?
I think she's gonna be running
Okay.
late.
Okay. Welcome, Rick. How are you doing?
Rick, you here?
Mm, no, let me see. I don't want to put nothing on there. Okay, testing. What? Where's she at?
We hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you hear me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm not gonna touch anything. How you doing, Vanessa?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Good, thanks.
Welcome. Welcome. Good.
Hanging in there.
Last week we had a tremendous session on resumes, the cover sheet, the resume. It was excellent, just excellent. So Trina, if you just in 3 minutes before we're talking about interviewing tonight. So just as a 3 minute recap of those 5 things for a resume. Do you remember those 5 things? You did such a great.
Yeah, I'm. So I think we talked a little bit about resumes and cover letters, and one of the most important issue when it comes to resumes is the fact that we are no longer handing out resumes in person any longer. We don't go to a facility and fill out an application anymore. We actually log on to a platform in
Hello, I'm
order.
sorry. Good evening.
Good evening.
It
Good
was
evening.
I'm sorry, security had an issue with my clearance.
Okay, Miss Geneva, Miss Fingersnaps.
Yes.
We're gonna get to you, but welcome, welcome.
Thank you all for having me.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
welcome. Okay,
Welcome.
can you just do a recap of those 5 things
So
that you
yeah,
mentioned
so
last week?
yeah, so the biggest deal was because we actually submit or upload our resumes online to a platform, and every major company has it, even small companies. It will actually go through what we call an ATS,
Okay.
and an ATS system, and that's a tracking system that kind of looks for keywords in your resume to determine whether or not it should go to the next level, and the next level
Yes.
is a person. And
Okay.
so you have to make sure that your resume is configured correctly to pass this ATS system. It's really a digital system that allows them to kind of get rid of people that that don't really fit the criteria. Because you do have some habitual people that'll apply for every job, don't have the skills,
Right.
and it's a way of throwing those kind of resumes to the curb. That's number one. Number two is to make sure that in today's technology driven world that you have those technology skills in order to be able to not only compete in the world of work that exists online but in person traditional work as well. Companies are always using these virtual platforms to do business, so you have to
Yes.
be very knowledgeable about the virtual online world as well. And the
Okay.
third thing is we talked a lot about the cover letter
The cover
and how
letter.
important
Okay.
that cover letters are needed. And the cover letter and the resume has to be specific to the job you are applying for.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the cover letter, and the resume has to be job specific. Okay.
Correct.
Very
And
good.
include the keywords that you're looking. So, for example, if you're applying for administrative assistant, you need to have the word administrative in there, customer service skills, all the key buzzwords associated with that job that are important for that job. So they need to be mentioned in your cover letter and your resume.
Okay. And so, and you said last week that lots of times you'll get those keywords from the job announcement.
Exactly. So you definitely, first thing you want to do when you apply for a job is to print off the job description. If they have not listed it like on ZipRecruiter or Indeed.com, and you don't know what the job description is, you just know the job is available, then do the research on those same websites to find a similar job, print that off and see what they're looking for. Print off three,
Okay.
in fact, and see what the
Okay.
commonality is between all three.
Okay.
And if you have those skills, put those in your resume.
That's good. One more. You mentioned the bio.
The bio is a collaboration of all your skills, education, and experience. And
Okay.
you create the bio so that when it's time to apply for a specific job, you just pull out those key areas needed from your template to create the resume for that specific job. So rather than create one one resume for an administrative assistant and then another resume for customer service and then another resume for management, combine it all into a bio
Okay.
in chronological order, and then just copy and
Chronological.
paste to the job application or the online application or the resume that you're creating for that specific job, so that you go one place to get all your credentials.
Very nice. Thank you so much. That's very good. Very helpful. Very insightful. Miss Finger Snaps is in our waiting area. She doesn't know we have a camera there. I guess we should have alerted her that there's a camera in there where she is. Oh goodness. So tonight we're going to be talking about the interview process, and then we're going to be interviewing her. But can we just take 5 minutes and just explain what to expect when you go to the interview? Maybe what you should wear, what you should look like. Maybe if you're in the waiting room, what you should be doing.
Okay, sure. So the first thing you want to do, and it kind of differentiates between doing a virtual interview opposed to an in-person
Okay.
interview. Um, Dress for success exists in both arenas. So if you're actually going into a facility to do a traditional sit-down interview, obviously you want to be dressed professionally
Yes.
from head to toe, and you want to make sure that if you're a tattoo-driven person, or you got earrings in your nose or whatever, that you take all that stuff out and give your best impression when you meet with the person. And you have to do that in a virtual interview as well. Difference
Yes.
is that
Yes.
you could be dressed from the top up and look very professional for the virtual interview, and just have like your pajama pants on the bottom and still do a great job.
Yes.
So dress for success is important. You want to do your research on the company so that you can talk to the recruiter or the HR person in terms of what you bring to the table, obviously, but how it fits into the mission statement or the objectives of the company, because you have
Yes.
done research on what that company sells, or the product, the service that they provide, or the products that they sell, or both. So you have to
Yes.
be very knowledgeable of who you're applying for, because they may ask you some questions about the company just so they can
Yes.
see if you did that research. If I'm
Exactly.
going to go work for somebody and I'm going to hire someone and they haven't checked me out to see, exactly what we're looking for, then, I'm not, well, I wouldn't consider you at all. That's number two. And the third thing is, while you're in that waiting room waiting to be seen, I would
Yes.
take advantage of that time. You should always bring a portfolio with you. I don't care what it is. It could be samples of business letters that you wrote that got the contract, or a PowerPoint presentation that you delivered at a bid conference, where your company was actually bidding for a contract and you were the spokesperson to do the presentation. Have something to back up what you're saying that you're able to
Okay.
do. Don't just go there with, talking, because anybody can
Yes.
say anything. In
Yes.
interviews, people are trained to do good interviews, and then when they get on the job, they can't do diddly. So you want to be able to demonstrate your work. So what I would be doing in the waiting area is practicing my delivery of backing up what I say I can do, whether it be a paper portfolio or having my cell phone ready to hit play on a PowerPoint presentation that I put together. If you're doing it virtual, you can actually get permission to share your screen so you could deliver it and send the link to them ahead of time and ask them to take a minute and play that for you and share their screen so that
Okay.
you both can see it. So you need that downtime waiting for the interview to be a preparation time period, so that not
And
only do you match all the key points of the interview, but you got those wraparound supportive things that will make put you over the top.
yes, thank you. And so even in the waiting room, we should also still behave, put on a professional presentation
Definitely.
while we're waiting.
Definitely. If you
Yes.
haven't watched one of those Jerry Springer shows where they're in the waiting room doing all kind of crazy stuff, and then they got cameras. Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes. You know, even before COVID, this was 8 or 9 years ago, maybe 9. One of my daughters was interviewing for a job out of state, and it was virtual. And it was back then, it was a Microsoft thing that was popular. And I'm forgetting the name of it now, but it was a FaceTime thing on Microsoft offered it. Boy, I can't remember it. I'll think of it. So the virtual interview is not going away. And it's very convenient.
Well,
So it has to be very professional. Yes.
another thing also, this is like just like recently, maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, or maybe even 5.
Yes.
You have to be aware when you go into that interview, mode. You should like more or less practice your common interview questions and like things like things like that. Because I know some people get stumps on like when they ask you, well, like tell me about yourself. But I want you to be aware also, and not to want to scare you or startle you. When you go on that virtual interview, it might be a 5-person panel that pops up, not just one-on-one. So
Yes.
just to be aware of that. Those are like little like more tidbits that you got to be like aware of. And I guess when you go to a job interview, you got to more or less get in your mind how you gonna pop the question of like your salary, how you gonna calculate that things things of that nature. But though like Trina's right, you have to read the job description and like more or less plug in those words, those specific skills for that employer to know that you know what you're talking about as far as the interview goes. And even though you might have like prepared your list of like references and everything, believe me, they're going to check on those references.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So you have to have references on there that can be contacted. So you need the correct phone numbers and email addresses for those
Absolutely, it has to
people.
be current.
Yes, keep it current. Yes. And that's another good point about multiple interviewers, because the last job interview I was on, there were 3 people there interviewing
See, there
me.
you go. Yes.
You
They call it
know,
a group interview.
it's a group interview because everybody brings a different perspective with different questions. And so it's very, that's a good
And it
point.
could be other people. I've seen interviews where they have like 3 or 4 participants interviewing at the same time, and then
Okay.
they have like 3 or 4 interviewers, and they'll
Wow.
give each person the opportunity to answer the question, and then they see how you react based on something someone else said or just being in that group environment. So you really
Okay.
have to, you have to be on your P's and Q's.
Like
Yes.
a lot of people too. I mean, because I can see in your demeanor, like Vanessa, and along with you, Trina, you guys are good interviewers. Me myself, I have to practice and practice and practice, and know what I'm talking about. So when I get in there, I feel a little bit more confident. You know what I mean? And just like a word to the wise, you have to more or less plan your interview like the final night. You really have to put some work into it. You really do.
Previous night.
Yeah, like the
Yes.
previous night. That's what
Yes.
I'm going to say. And above all, bring your resume. Bring a pen and a notebook to take notes, because there might be some key things that like they might say that you might be able to expound upon, and that raises the bar for you. The interview. It's kind of hard for like the virtual, but if they say something, write it down. Say, okay,
Right.
like this is a key point here.
So should you
What?
come with questions to ask them as well?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I just did a workshop on. I think I printed it. Everybody concentrates on the interview, what questions that they're going to be asked, and you need. I'm doing a workshop. I think sometime in March on the questions that you should ask while you're being interviewed,
Oh,
because
good,
you know
good.
you got to do your research on these companies. Some of them are not legitimate. I mean,
Right.
legitimate to a degree to get hired, but they could be
Right.
doing some unscrupulous things that you just don't want to be a part of, and now you wasted a few months or weeks
Right.
of working for them before you realize it, and then you got to start your process all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Like, what are your policies on your leave, your sick leave, your vacation, your annual leave? Things like that.
Yeah, I do.
So,
While we're on this subject, I think because I was working on the materials for it, and I definitely wanted to give people tips on exactly what you should be putting, what kinds of questions to ask. And just to give you a couple of them, well, in the workshop, we actually have you prepare them. Um, the questions that you think that they may ask, but you do still go back to the job description and see exactly what the job description is asking for. So your questions are in line with the actual job itself. So you're
okay.
not asking some, out of the way questions and making them feel like you don't you're not exactly where you are. And some of those questions would be, how would they describe their work culture? How many people
Oh,
leave their
good.
job? How many people stay?
Yes.
How often do you promote? How are your raises
Yes.
being
Wow.
delivered? You know,
Mm-hmm.
Good
are there insurance
information.
benefits? How do you deal with absenteeism?
And
Uh,
conflict. That's a
conflicts? Yeah.
good one.
Are you how do you feel with different cultures at the workplace? We have all kinds of cultures working in different, and they may practice one type of behavior and feel like your behavior that you practice for your culture is different. So
Okay.
how does the company address that? And what's your ratio on complaints? And a lot of people are afraid to do that because they think that they would not get the job. But
Yes.
I would ask those questions to eliminate them
Those
as
are
to
important
being the person,
questions.
yeah, company that I would work for. So you you,
Yes.
you got to look at it like they're
Be-
hiring you, but you're hiring them too. You're hiring them
That's
to
because,
be
right.
your company.
they should be able to answer those
Hmm.
questions.
And we do a
You
whole
know?
workshop on that. So
Okay. Because if
definitely.
you're asking them that, what's your policy like, they should be able to answer those questions.
And if they get upset by it, then something must be wrong.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, one more question, and then we're going to bring on our interviewee. And maybe after the process, you can give her some pointers, or tell us
Well,
what was some positive and some constructive feedback about the interview. But how long is a typical interview?
it kind of depends on the job.
Depends.
So, for
Okay.
example, obviously, if it's a cashier or a customer service job, you would think it would be shorter, but it actually isn't. It'll actually take longer because most
Yeah.
customer service jobs, they want to do scenarios with you to see how you would react to them. And sometimes
Yes.
that could be done in the actual interview in the first segue, or it may be done in the second segue. But they want to see how you react and how you verbalize yourself and communicate with people when you're kind of under stress. So it could be, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. and then sometimes you could your average I would say would be 30 to 45 minutes, because
Okay.
you don't want a quick interview. You want to delay if it's going quickly. You want to ask questions to delay it, and then you want to have your summary at the end.
Okay.
Your closing statement as to
Okay.
why you want, and that's going to lead into the 5 things that I'm going to be asking. And I wanted to do this
Okay.
before we actually interview her, so it could give her some time to think, and I want to give her examples. So
Okay.
the first question, I don't care what interview you go on, it's going to be an open-ended couple of questions.
Yes.
Open-ended meaning that they're looking for you to give them information from your own perspective. So the first question is always, tell me about yourself. And
Okay.
that'll give you an
Yes.
opportunity to provide information that typically is not in the cover letter or your resume.
Now,
And
may
you
I ask you a
really,
question?
sure.
If on an interview, will people get these questions beforehand?
It
Not,
depends. I
not all
mean,
the time.
not
Not
all
all
the
the time.
time. If you're
So why
doing
don't
it,
we can bring her on here and give it to her cold, just like she would get in the interview process, and we'll see how she does.
okay.
Okay, and then we can get some constructive, feedback from that. So we're going to allow Miss Geneva Finger Snaps into the studio. Please welcome. And welcome, Geneva. May I call you Geneva?
Yes, yes, ma'am. You may. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So we're here on Tripping with the Birds, and they have been walking us through the resume and the interview process. So we are going to interview you, and we're going to yes. What job have you applied for?
Well, first of all, I would like to say hello, Miss Vanessa. Hello, Miss Trina Bird. And hello, Mr. REB Productions.
Good evening. How are you?
Good
Yes,
evening.
I
Welcome.
Hello.
thank you. I have interviewed for a general administrative assistant.
Okay. 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 So Miss Trina Bird is going to start off the process now. Um, Mr. Rick and I may have questions as well. So just relax, be yourself, answer the questions as confidently as you know how, and just be relaxed. Just let's relax,
I
okay?
really appreciate this interview. Thank you.
But we
All
appreciate you
right.
being here.
Thank you, Geneva. My first question to you is, obviously we want to know a little bit more about you based on the information that we read in your cover letter and your resume, which, by the way, was very impressive, which is the reason why we have contacted you for this interview. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself that was not included on your resume or cover letter?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Trina Bird, may I ask a question? Am I able to take notes? I brought my pad and my pencil. Am I able to take notes?
Certainly.
Thank you. And
Miss Trina,
would you repeat your question again, please?
Tell me a little
can
bit about yourself that you did not provide in your resume or your cover letter.
Oh, okay. Well, I am originally from the South or the North. I'm from the North South, and I started out working in the administrative capacity when they had the Wayne. The Wayne was a pretty big computer, and I self taught myself how to type on Wayne, and I started out as a stay in schooler with the Wayne, and then eventually I graduated and participated in some developmental opportunities, and so it was no longer the Wayne. We then went to an IBM computer, and along with that IBM computer, I learned how to do some of the graphical softwares. And since then, I have been perfecting my typing skills and dictation and taking notes. And I am a very dependable person. I can be lonely at times, but I'm very dependable.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Very good.
My second question is, what do you know about the company? Have you done any research to see what we offer?
Yes, ma'am. This Miss Bird. Yes, yes. I researched the company on the internet, and it was very good. I see that you all have a great cafeteria. and I noticed that the um the workspaces the workspaces were pretty small according to the pictures, but I noticed that the turnover rate was very, very low, and I suspect that's because it's family oriented. But it looks like a great place that I would want to work.
Okay, good. And why are you interested in this job, specifically the position that you have applied for? What interests you about that job description?
Well, I'm sorry, did I cut you off? Were you finished asking me the question?
Yeah, I was done. What
Oh, okay.
specifically?
Well, I need the money, and I know I shouldn't have said that, but I believe in integral. I believe in being integral. I need the money and my skills, my administrative skills. They so far they have they've been a blessing to me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot where I was. My administrative skills, they have really carried me and enabled me to learn the different softwares, and I feel that I could enhance whatever office that I be working in because of my personality. And I'm loyal to I'm just a little bit nervous. I'm loyal
Take your
to
time.
Thank you, Mr. REB Productions. I'm loyal to the company that I'm in because I believe that I am representing the company as well as myself. And so I just believe that in that position that I applied for, when the people come in and see me, I give them a smile and then I will point them where they want to go.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And with your review of this job description, you know it's administrative office position, so it requires a lot of customer service skills, which you've actually commented on. But it also requires you to have some skill sets that are pretty much stronger in Google Workspace opposed to Microsoft Office 365, although we do use both platforms. Which would you say is your primary skill, Google Workspace or 365 Office?
Excuse me, would you repeat that question?
Okay, so do you believe that your skill set is stronger in Microsoft Office 365 versus Google Workspace?
Ma'am, I believe that my strongest asset would be in a Microsoft 365. However, a young lady down the street from me at the red house around the corner, she actually introduced me to Goggle.
Okay, great. All right, my last question, and I'll move on to Miss Vanessa and Mr. REB Productions. My last question, well, actually, you know what? It's kind of like a closing, open ended question. So I'll turn it over to Vanessa and REB Productions to see if they have any questions. And then I'll revert back to my last question, which
Thank
is
you,
a
Miss
summary.
Bird. Thank you,
You're
Miss
welcome.
Bird. Mhm.
Well, thank you, Miss Geneva. You certainly are a friendly individual. I
Yes,
am
ma'am.
wondering, how many years of experience do you have in the administrative field?
But that's a very good question, Miss Vanessa. I started out with Wayne, then I went to the IBM, and I'm learning about 4 months.
Woo!
Well, how,
Wayne don't even exist anymore.
well, if you went as far back as Wayne, you've been in that field for a very long time.
Miss Geneva. Um, that's good. I'm wondering. Um, do you have right now we are meeting virtually and in the home, but pretty soon we're going to be in office. Do you think you have reliable transportation, or you're going to be able to get to and from work?
Miss Vanessa, would that be working in your headquarters office, or would it be like in a field office or one of the little county offices?
It's going to be in our head office in New York.
Well, I suppose that would not be a problem If I could be a little flexible with my hours, is that a possibility?
Well, we're usually a 9 to 5 company, sometimes 8 to 4. Um, are is that going to fit in your schedule?
Yes, ma'am. I will accommodate. I will accommodate those requests at least 3 days a week.
Okay. Well, this is a 40-hour-a-week position.
Is it a possibility that I might be able to get back with you on this response?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Vanessa.
Yes. Yes. So, um, you seem like a very, very nice young lady. Um, do you think so far what we have been speaking with you about? Do you think it may be a little overwhelming or underwhelming, or how do you handle conflict if we were to give you a project, saying at the end of the day you have 30 minutes left before it's time to quit, but you've got to get these letters out, but you have to pen yourself to one of our clients. And I mean, how do you work under pressure? How well do you work under
I
pressure?
I tend to
Very
work
good
very well
question.
under pressure. I ask what's the priority, if I have the liberality to set my own priority, or if my priority is set by the manager. And once I know what that priority is, then I find it very equasive to meet that priority. I can work under pressure, and if you wait till 30 minutes to give me some work at the end of the day, I'm going to try my best to do it, as long as there's no penalization.
Okay, ma'am. Why did you leave your last job?
I left my last job because they hired a robot.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. And how does your family feel about you? You know, possibly relocating.
Well, we're such a tight, close knit family that I think my papa would bring the cow, and my mama would bring her classroom, and so we moved together. And then my cousins, we'd all just move together. We're very close knit family. I'm sure that they can find some work.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Um,
Thank you, Miss Vanessa.
you're welcome.
Rick, you have any questions or
Yes, like this one, it seems like you young ladies have more or less covered everything in its totality. But like just like just one, um, like Mr. Neva. Now, do you how do you feel about grasping new technology?
Yeah.
Did you say tickle me, sir?
Excuse me.
I didn't understand your question. Did you say
Oh
tickle me?
no. If how do you in fact embrace new technology coming down the pike? How
Oh,
would you embrace
I
it?
embrace it. If I could just borrow a phrase from the army, be all
Mm-hmm.
that you can be.
Okay.
I want to be all that I can be, when I can be it, and how often I can be it. And then when I want to stop being it, I believe it's time to move on.
Okay.
okay? So our last question to you, Miss Geneva, is there anything you would like to provide to us that we have not discussed in this interview?
Yes, I would like to know, when would you all make a decision, and how many other people have applied for this position, and do you think I have a good chance?
Well, we have 3 more interviews that we are scheduled to do, and I think that your personality definitely could be a good fit for the company.
Oh, that's
However,
wonderful.
we are concerned about your limited 4 months of experience, and so it would be a something that the 3 of us, would have to discuss further to see if your customer service skills would outweigh your your actual experience, and if we were to be able to provide you with some training to increase that concern that we have.
Well, I understand. I'm really thankful for this opportunity. Thank you. I thank you for this opportunity. I'm very appreciative to have met you all to work with this company. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
I'd
Thank
like to
you.
thank you for coming in and
Yes.
participating in like the interview process. And I know that we will be calling you one way or another. In
All
other
right.
words, if you got the job or not.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. REB Productions, Miss Trina Bird, and Miss Vanessa. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. One more question. What did you do before those 4 months of experience? 4 months that you did with the administrative work.
Oh, the 4 months.
Before the 4 months,
Oh, I volunteered at the White House.
doing.
That was the White House down in my hometown. I was a receptionist there. When they brought all the pigs and the cows through, I had to count them. And then when the people came through, I gave them all masks because because of the COVID and the pandemic going on, I
Mm.
gave them all masks.
Okay. Well, Miss Geneva, thank you so much for applying for the job. It's certainly been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you,
And
Miss
as
Vanessa.
Mr. Rick said, we will be getting back with you. And we wish you much success in your job search.
Thank you, Miss Vanessa, Miss Trina Bird, and Mr. REB Productions. I'm not sure who Mr. Rick is, but thank you too, Mr. Rick.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Geneva, you have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye
Thank
bye.
Thank
you.
you. Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Academy Award.
Yes. Very good.
That was good. For those of you who may have tuned in, that is DJ Straight, and it was her idea to interview her. We did not know she was going to go into character, and she
We
did very well.
hold up. It took me a minute. It took me a minute to see who she really
Oh, you
was.
didn't know that was
Oh,
her?
you didn't know
No,
that
I
was
did
her?
not. When she first came on there with the hat, and I said, "Well, she didn't have the hat." But as soon as she started talking, I said, "Oh, okay."
Oh man, she did wonderful.
She did a wonderful job.
There she
Wonderful
go.
job.
So how did it go with the lady? So how did it go with Miss Geneva?
Oh, it was great, Geneva. Oh, I'm sorry, DJ Straight.
DJ Straight. Yeah, she's a very good, presentable person. I mean, she would fit into any firm, any job with ease. I mean, because of like a personability. Even though she might apply for one job, she could probably get two or three others. She had
Oh,
a very good
Vanessa,
temperament
he got
and
to be joking, right,
characteristics.
Vanessa?
I'm concerned.
Yeah, yeah. He,
Yeah, we gonna
I am
hire her.
concerned.
we
Like
got to
she's
take his
hired.
credentials back, Vanessa.
So what did she do?
She was certainly a very pleasant person.
Yeah,
Yes.
customer service was
I
good.
am just wondering if the administrative position is a good fit for her in this company. Although she was very pleasant, I'm just concerned about the job experience and the amount of time because she went back to the wing, but she says she's only had 4 months of training, so it may
That
be a little
timeline doesn't fit.
overwhelming.
Yeah, timeline doesn't fit for Wang.
No.
Wang is like 1970s.
Wow, Wayne was way back there.
Wow, wow.
But she
Yes.
says she knew Microsoft 365, so I mean, there's some conflicts there that concern me, even though she's a very nice person. And I think
And what did she call Google? She called it Goggle?
Goggle.
Yeah, goggle.
Yeah, Goggle.
Yes.
Oh,
Um,
she definitely
I'm just
doesn't.
wondering if there are maybe other positions. I don't know if you even do that on interviews. Maybe offer them something else, or I mean, how do you call somebody back and tell them they have the job or they don't have the job?
Well, you don't.
Um,
You actually send them a generic form letter thanking them for
Right.
their participation and that
okay.
you wish them much success. However, There were several other candidates that were closely in line with the type of credentials that we were looking for. And
Oh, okay,
I mean,
that's
she was a
good.
nice person, but she
Very
really,
nice.
yeah, she really lacked, like her demeanor, um, didn't kind of fit the person out front. You want that
Right.
person that's out front to be confident. When you walk into an office and you're looking for services, you want that person. It's like going into a restaurant and the waitress has never eaten the food that's on the menu, so they can't describe how it tastes because they don't know.
Right.
So you need to have somebody that
That's
actually
true. That's
knows
true.
a lot more. When I asked her about the company, she gave a generic answer, which meant that she didn't do any research.
Right. And a lot of times when you do this, you you have to when you do a job interview, you have to stand on concrete examples from your past, and that's when
That matched the
and that's
job
what starts
description.
the conversation
Yeah.
for interaction. So
And
that's
she talked
key, I
about the
think.
pigs and the cows and
That was concerning. Yes, because I'm thinking, have you ever lived away from home or left your parents? And how are you going to do if you have to leave? I mean, she seems like a very nice lady.
Yeah.
But
Like her soft skills were good, but she had no like foundation for like the job at hand.
yeah, I think she's very much a people person, and I'm thinking she'd be a great tour
greeter,
guide,
greeter, yeah,
greeter.
greeter, yeah.
Yes, yes. Um,
And she's
that
very respectful, very
yes, yes,
her manner, her mannerisms were really good. She was a
yes.
welcoming person. Like you could really, I think that you could teach her. That's why I said in the closing that we could, we had the time or
Right,
the dollars
Hmm.
to train her. She could probably be an asset. But right now, the
right,
company's looking for people that are self starters, go getters, people that can come right in and do the job and find areas that need improvement.
right.
Whereas she would be the person that we'd have to show her how to do everything
Right.
Everything. Yeah,
Where we had
yeah,
to try to put it all together.
yeah.
and pronounce Google.
So did you all do a panel interview, and you all had pre-described questions, or how did you all interview her?
Yeah, I had 5 questions, and then Vanessa and Rick had their questions, and then well, I asked her 4 questions, and then the summary question at the end of the other Vanessa and Rick asking her questions. We asked her, was there anything that she would like to provide that was not discussed in the interview? And that kind of, she didn't score very high on either because it wasn't a summary that would be the forgettable summary. Like, oh, okay, I'll remember her. She's definitely going to move to level 2 where she gets the second
A
Right.
interview.
The
follow-up
second interview.
interview.
Her
Okay.
closing was very soft spoken and um very thankful. She's very thankful, but she just when you in an interview, the last thing you say to them is going to be your last impression, and you want that to be a
Right.
bang.
It's very unfortunate. I'm glad I don't have to do this because for somebody like that, you want to find a place for them.
True.
Because wherever you put them, they're going to, I think, do their best, at least from the interview. But she's not a good fit for every position. That's not saying she can't be trained and learn, but the position she was applying for, I'm glad she applied for it, but I don't know if she's qualified for that. Now, is it okay to apply for positions you're not qualified for because the interviewer may see something in you and really want
That's
you
true.
to
Very
come
true.
in there and they want to train you and give you an internship or something where you can get the training?
Absolutely, because the impression that you make on a person that doesn't know you means that you can do that with the client base. And if you feel real comfortable and real confident that this person, is going to bring in more customers, they might not know the right terminology,
Right.
but there's something that companies are doing, and it's called a trial week. So what
Yes.
that means is that, and I'm not sure if everybody pays you for that trial week or you volunteer. It could be either one. And if you do get paid, it's like a minimum wage training week, so to speak. And what they do is they put you on trial for a week. and give you a scenario or some projects to do to see how you fare. And oftentimes, the person that does the greatest interview, when they get into that trial week,
Right.
they can't produce. They're really
Right, they
good at
Right.
fold.
interviewing, but they
Right.
can't
Exactly,
produce
they
on the
fold.
job.
Right.
And then the person that does a horrible interview, like just blows it through the roof because they're
Right.
task oriented and they work really well by themselves and not
Right.
in front of
Right.
people.
Right. That's why I say it's hard to turn somebody like that down. But I mean, with the job experience that I have been myself and my children and all, they usually get 90 days. And a lot of companies now, what they do is they'll hire you for an internship, and then they'll decide whether or not they want to extend a
Okay.
permanent position with you. And the reason I think they do that is because they don't have to they're not locking themselves into keeping
Benefits
you.
packages,
Yes.
all
So
of
at the
that.
end of your 90 days, it's like, okay, we're going to offer you a position, or we want to thank you for, your
Well,
service to our company.
Vanessa, the 90 days has been replaced with the trial week.
Well, yeah, I haven't heard of the trial week, because really
Yeah.
that first week you can't do too much. I mean, you're filling out paperwork, and it just that first week that there's not a lot happening unless
Well,
you're
you know
learning
what?
a line. You're an assembly line.
It is a lot in a way of how fast do you get your paperwork done? How many errors have you made on the paperwork? Is the paperwork that you're doing, if you're, because it's not handwritten anymore. So it's like, you're using Microsoft Word or you're using Google Docs. At that particular point in the first day, you can assess whether or not they are actually, what their speed is with getting
Right.
assignment. The assignment is you're filling out all your HR work or your HR
Right.
paperwork, or you could be doing an application process that they actually create for that trial week. And they're assessing your speed, your accuracy,
That's true.
how you blend in with the other people, or it might be 3 people in there on trial week. So
Okay.
companies no longer want to wait 30, 60, 90 days to say, oh, you
Okay,
gotta
see, that's
go.
the first I've heard of that. I haven't
You
heard the
could do,
trial
yeah,
week
you
before.
you can assess them in a week. And if they have, I mean, you do a checklist. If they've got 10 things on the checklist: accuracy, speed, did you get there on time? Did you turn assignments in? You got like 10 parameters. And if they only get like 3 out of that 10, why go another week?
Well, I think what's been said is good. I've only worked in the federal government, and I've been at 6 agencies, and most of the stuff that you all are saying would not apply to any agency.
Right.
So uh, that when
Any
you first
government
come in, they
agency.
give you a trial period, but the similar things are punctuality, being on time, and if they take a chance on you, a lot of times now government agencies and probably private, they have what they call internships. Some of them
Mhm.
are paid and some of them are volunteer. So I think if depending on what the person's looking for, city, county, or government or nonprofit, they need to study out they need to study out the job description first of all. Make sure
Right.
your skills match. Because to answer your question, Vanessa, I've always told people apply for any job you want to. It doesn't mean that you're qualified. It just
Right.
means that you're applying because and Trina can vouch for this. Years ago, when you applied for jobs, you had to go to the post office, mail it, and spend 40 cents or 60 cents. Whereas now everything is electronic. You can apply from your phone if your resume is on there.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you never know, somebody might look at your resume and say, "Oh, I want to take a chance on this person because the resume is written well.
True.
It basically states what you're applying for. It gives you experiences, and they may take a chance on you. But I think all information is helpful. I feel sorry
Mhm.
for the lady that you all interviewed because niceness doesn't always get it, and if you get
Right.
in a rough environment, you're gonna be in the bathroom crying every lunch hour, every smoke break, and everything else like that. So, um, for people applying for jobs, I just say get some kind of coach or counselor and do your research as far as how to write your resume, how to look at things. The library, the internet has so many things. The library, and then maybe somebody that already works there in a different department. Ask them about the culture of the place or whatever, and then you still have to weigh everything.
Right.
And that's my 2 cents at 6:52. Are you all coming on tonight?
No, no, we
Nah, Trina's,
I had a sinus headache, so I
she's not feeling
postponed
well.
Okay,
it.
but
But
Oh,
I do want to mention one,
we're gonna play it out.
like the three good interview questions, but I want to, boil it down because I went through a interview maybe about 6 days ago, and
Okay.
what the generic things that they asked you was tell me a little bit about yourself, and a lot of people can't materialize what they do.
right.
They do so much, and another time you gotta pertain to the job, and number two, a lot of people fail to admit what is your weakness.
Mhm.
Another one, what is your strength?
Yeah.
And then where and like this is projectionary question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years if you were to come on board? That's where the key factors are too. And like number five is out of all the candidates, they ask you, why should I hire you? So it goes back to day being number one. Tell me a little bit about yourself, and then that brings it all together to like a certain degree to make a decision. For your interviewer.
You
One
know,
job I interviewed for, they wanted to know how creative I was, so they said, they showed me a pencil and said, give me 10 things you can do with this pencil.
Mm-hmm. So you got to think outside the box.
You have to think outside the box.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because, writing, that's the first one, but okay, but what else can you do with this pencil?
so what you say?
What did I say? I said, well, obviously you can write, or, the little guys like to play the hitting game. I said, you can stick behind your ear. I said, what else did I say about the pencil? You can
Break it.
use them as chopsticks, or you can wrap some paper around it and use it as a flag. Use it as a craft. Put two of them together, you can have a little scroll. You can use it as a pointer.
There you go.
Things like that. So they want to know, how creative can you be when you need to be?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good.
That's a good example. Yeah.
That was really good. I want to piggyback off what Rick said, and then we can close out. So I interviewed many places. So there was one place I thought I wanted to work because I read it. The pay was good. Um, now, and when I walked into it was a little, it was a lot of stuff in that. It was like four people working in a room, and they asked the questions, and they said, "Well, where do you see yourself in 4 months from now?" And I really didn't want that job, and I said, "Looking for another job."
Okay, that's a good one.
You didn't get that job?
Did you
They
get
didn't
it?
call you back?
Did you
No,
get the
but I
job?
took it anyway. The atmosphere wasn't good. The money was good, but I was
Okay.
just being honest because I knew I wasn't gonna take that job, yeah, and I was well qualified, but I was
Well, you
like,
made sure. They were not going to offer it to you.
Yeah,
My
that could
daughter
have been
went
your
for.
office you were in.
Yeah. My daughter went to a job. Well, she was going to volunteer. And she was looking for a job, but she thought, okay, let's just volunteer right now. So on her application, she put her experience and what her degree was in and all that stuff. And so when they went in there, when they looked at her application, they didn't offer her the volunteer position. They hired her for 3 different positions in their company.
yeah.
Mm.
Positions they were not, huh? Yeah, it worked out. It worked out. There's another thing, and I'm going to stop at this. This guy tells a story of this construction worker, and he's been commissioned to build this house, and he has so much money to use. So what he does is he cuts corners and says, oh, I can build this a lot cheaper than they allotted it, so I'm going to buy these cheaper materials, put it here, and I'm going to build this house with it. So he ended up pocketing maybe 50% of the money.
Mm-hmm.
After he finished building the house, the contractor said, listen, these are the keys to the house. You've just built your dream home.
Okay.
And he had no
Wow.
idea He was building his own home. So when you go on these interviews, you need to put your best foot forward, even if you don't want the position, DJ.
I knew that was.
You don't want to tell them you're going to be looking for another job in 4 months. I'm just surprised they didn't just usher you to the door immediately. You know.
We finished.
But anyway.
Yeah. But you all made some good points. Everybody said really, really good points, and this was great.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. So when you're waiting in the ready room, whether there's a camera there or not, go to the back. Get there early. Go to the bathroom and make sure you're straight. DJ, straight. You make sure you're straight. Make sure everything is together.
Good. Hey,
before you get in there. But anyway, it was good. Something to think
I
about.
hope you feel better.
Yes. Yeah.
I know about those sinus headaches.
Everybody did a good job.
Man.
Well, thank you all for coming.
First time.
Next week, what are we meeting next week? What are we doing?
Next week is our last week of meeting every week, and then for March we're going to alternate.
Okay.
Or we'll come on as needed, or as we have a subject. Because I'm also looking into some other things as well. But I don't want to burn. I don't want to burn everybody out, because everybody works through the day and doing other stuff. And I thought about it. I don't want to burn everybody out.
You know what? I wanted to ask you, DJ Straight. Or I don't know if you can share it on the air or not. I want to. I'm like interested in knowing like the ratings. How are the ratings going? Are they going up? Are they stable? Or we can talk about that after.
Okay.
Okay.
The
always
couple
giving
that just
good
went to
ideas.
RV wants to come on too, so maybe we can have them next week, or
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll be good.
close it out with them. Yeah, because
Okay.
Yeah, he got a
they
gorgeous
have their
one.
date now. Because
Okay. Good.
Yeah, but even when you all get back in your RV on a consistent basis, we do want to talk about the RV, because we've had people asking about the RV.
Right.
You know, that has some kind of interest in there as well. But again, like I said, Trina always calling me and saying, "Hey, think about this, think about that." So she has great information, and so I don't want to stop.
Lots.
Yeah, I don't want to stop this completely. But again, I want to make sure that we're meeting the goals of what we set out to do.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm revamping some other things with the station as well.
This has been really good.
Yeah, so we're not like, oh, going La La Land, we'll never see it again. We definitely gonna come back. We still gonna trip.
Okay. Great. Yep. We still want to trip.
Yeah,
and I think we need to do another interview, because we showed an interview that was kind of I don't want to say mediocre, but kind of some of the things that you can improve on, and then show them one interview where it's a really good, successful interview.
And it's a serious one.
Why don't you be the interviewee, and I'll see if I can find somebody to interview you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so what job? So you all can discuss what kind of job she's applying for. That'll be good.
President.
Because then you can show her what kind.
President.
Yeah, but that was a good topic.
Okay.
That was a good topic there.
President of what?
Assistant director or
of let's see, who would I want to be in charge of right now?
Well, we can discuss it, but I mean that's a good thing, so you can give a proper interview. I mean, Geneva was good.
I caught a little bit of her, and she was interesting. She was definitely interesting. I don't know if I would take the chance in hiring her, because I did that before with somebody in real life when I was used to supervise, and that was a doozy. So
yeah, it just depends on what. See, someone like that, I would maybe keep their application on file and see if there's something that becomes available, like a greeter and that doesn't diminish, her or anything like that, but just something that's more suited to her.
Yeah.
Right, you're trying to
and then she can come in as a receptionist, or start helping with the filing or learning, that kind of thing.
So
I would offer her a volunteer position.
But when I came in, I heard that she needed the money.
But she said she needed the money.
I didn't see her volunteering. I mean, heck, I don't want to volunteer for too much now. Pay
She
me.
said she volunteered for the last job. That's how she got the 4 months.
Maybe that's why she want a paid job.
Yeah.
Well, you need to volunteer 4 more months so you can get some experience. And then
That's all.
Then she have 8 months.
Oh no. Okay. All right, folks. This is great. Trina text me by before Saturday or Sunday.
yeah, I'll confirm with them too. I told them they only got their last shot.
Okay.
Mhm.
And we got to. Let me announce this. We got a show tomorrow at 5 on Friday at 8. We have poetic music. He plays the flute and she signs with her own original poem. And then Sunday we have another show, my siblings and me, with the bookers, and we have a different host. And each show we have a different host. But we're gonna do a round circle and come back. So I'm gonna let you all know the next time you guys are gonna host on
Okay.
this show.
Okay.
And Harvey's show will be good because spring is coming.
Yes.
But from that first show, I had people literally calling and texting me and saying, "Hey, I want to host, or I want to participate." So I'm like, let's give everybody a chance because you guys premiered it, and obviously you sparked somebody into wanting to do what you all did.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. This is DJ Straight signing off with Tripping with the Birds, host Vanessa, and what's her name? Geneva Fingers. She's
Snap.
already
Snaps.
gone. Finger snaps. She's already gone. And so, all right, until next week,
All
we
right,
will
ladies.
Bye bye.
sign
Thank
out.
you.
Enjoy.